Let's talk about something real today. You've been there, right? You tried everything you could to show him what he meant to you. You put your own needs on hold, went out of your way, made sacrifices, and poured your heart into every interaction just for him. You were there whenever he called, always willing to listen, to support, and to give. You were his safe space, his comfort, the one who would move mountains if he needed it. But what did he do in return? He took it all for granted, ignored your worth, and treated you as if you were just another option. He saw your love as a guarantee and didn't even blink while dismissing your efforts. He let you feel small, insignificant, invisible, and then he rejected you like it was nothing. It stung, didn't it? That sharp, bitter taste of rejection. And you're left wondering if anything you did mattered. You ask yourself, was I not good enough? And the pain creeps in, making you doubt every loving gesture, every sacrifice, every moment of care. You tried talking, reasoning, maybe even crying just to get him to see, hoping he'd recognize what he was letting slip away. But nothing worked. Not one thing. He walked away without looking back. Now here's the thing, Queens. There's one last move you haven't tried, and it's the most powerful one in your arsenal. Silence. Pure, undiluted silence. No more texts. No more calls. No more checking up. It's time to fall completely off his radar. Imagine that one day he looks at his phone, expecting your message, your call, and instead, nothing. You've vanished. This silence will speak louder than anything you could have said or done. It's going to shake him in ways he didn't even know he could be shaken. Because here's the truth. Men are often oblivious to what they have until it's gone. And when you stop giving him your energy, he'll start to feel it. Now he may act like he's unfazed. He might pretend he's fine, that your absence doesn't mean a thing. But let me tell you, it's all a front. Men are wired to crave the attention and care of a woman who's there for them. And when that's gone, they feel it. The longer you stay silent, the more that emptiness is going to grow. Suddenly, he's going to realize that you weren't just an option, you were the option. He might act tough on the outside, but inside, he's starting to realize he lost someone irreplaceable. You were the one who brought stability, kindness, and love. And now, he's left with a void that only you can fill. So affirm this with me, Queens. My silence is my power. Say it out loud. Feel the strength in those words, because this silence, it's not just about him feeling your absence. It's about you reclaiming your strength, your dignity, and your worth. Stay with me, because I'm going to show you how this silence will shift everything, how it forces him to confront what he threw away and leaves him wondering if he's ever going to find anyone like you again. So, are you ready to watch him unravel? To see him choke on the emptiness he created by losing a queen like you? Let's get started and find out how your silence is actually the loudest wake-up call he's ever going to get. One that forces him to confront the truth of what he lost. Ready to dive deep into his world of regret and realization? Let's go. Step 1. Not a big deal at first. So, here's how it begins. After you choose silence, you might be expecting him to notice right away. Maybe you hope he'll feel a pang of regret, a sudden emptiness, or a realization of what he's lost. But the reality, it's probably nothing like that at first. For him, this silence doesn't hit hard immediately. In fact, it's almost like it doesn't hit at all. If he was someone new in your life, someone you'd only been seeing for a short while, he might even feel a sense of relief. He's telling himself that moving on is easy, that he doesn't need to invest anymore in this connection. He may convince himself that he's free now, able to go wherever he wants without worrying about anyone else. In these early days, he may even convince himself that letting go of you was the right decision. This is him underestimating the quiet strength of your silence. Or maybe he was someone you'd been with for a long time, someone who started growing distant. He might not see the importance of your absence, feeling so secure in the belief that you'd always be there, no matter what. He tells himself that this quiet moment is temporary, that sooner or later you'll come back on your own. In his mind, he's in control. He's got the upper hand. He's barely scratching the surface of what your silence actually means. Meanwhile, on the other side of this silence, you're feeling the ache, the absence, the emptiness. Choosing silence isn't easy. It's not just a matter of not reaching out. It's fighting against every instinct you have, to check in, to call, to remind him of what you had together. You feel that familiar urge to reach out, to say just one thing, hoping it will make a difference. And in these early moments, you might even question yourself, wondering if the silence is worth it. But remember this: his lack of reaction doesn't mean he's immune to your absence. Think of it like a quiet storm gathering power. At first, he doesn't notice, but slowly the winds start to shift. This is the calm before the storm, for him and for you. If he was someone new, the silence might feel like it's doing nothing at all. He's out with friends, maybe even dating, telling himself that there are plenty of people out there and that you're just one of them. But what he doesn't realize is that no one else can replace the unique presence you brought. He's fooling himself into thinking he's unaffected, but every time he meets someone new, he'll feel that hint of dissatisfaction, that sense that something's missing. This is how the seed of regret starts growing, even if he's completely unaware of it. For the one who's been around longer, he might be at home, scrolling through his phone, noticing the absence of your messages, but not feeling much impact just yet. He's so used to your presence that he assumes it'll always be there, even if he doesn't respond. He thinks he has all the time in the world to make things right, that you'll come back because you always have. In his mind, this silence is barely noticeable. But while he's sitting there, unfazed, something small but significant is starting to take root. Like a pebble in his shoe, your absence is a discomfort he can't quite place. He may be able to ignore it for now, but as the silence stretches, that pebble grows into a stone, weighing down every step he takes. He doesn't feel it yet, but trust me, it's building. And for you, this stage is hard. You're here, fighting against that desire to reach out. You're feeling the strain of your own silence, doubting if he even cares, wondering if he's out there living his life without a single thought of you. It's painful, but this pain is your strength in disguise. Every moment you resist the urge to break the silence, you're building a foundation of resilience, of power. You're giving him the space to feel your absence, even if it's only a faint echo right now. It's like planting a seed in dry soil. You can't see anything happening on the surface, but underground, roots are beginning to spread, taking hold. The impact of your silence is there, even if he can't feel it yet. This is the beginning of his journey, a journey he doesn't even know he's on. And as much as this moment hurts, it's the most powerful thing you can do, because every time you resist reaching out, you're giving him a chance to experience what life is really like without you. And sooner or later, that absence is going to catch up to him. The silence will become something he can't ignore, no matter how hard he tries. So, when this feels difficult, when you're tempted to reach out, remind yourself of your affirmation. My silence is my power. Hold on to these words like armor, a shield against every doubt and fear. Because begging, crying, and pleading, that's giving him power over your emotions. But silence, that's taking your power back. It's letting him face the consequences of his choices while you stand tall, strong, and unwavering. You don't need to convince him of your worth. Your absence will do that for you in time. Remember, Queens, he may feel nothing now, but this is just the beginning. Every step you take in silence is a step toward reclaiming your strength. Your silence is a message, a reminder that you're not an option he can take for granted. And as time goes on, that silence will echo louder than any words you could ever say. Step 2. The quiet realization of change. As days go by, the silence starts to settle in, and he begins to notice that things aren't quite the same. At first, it's subtle, almost unnoticeable. He's still going about his routine, hanging out with friends, keeping himself distracted. But there's a shift, small but unmistakable, that begins to tug at him. It's like walking into a room that used to be filled with warmth, only to find it's a few degrees colder. He doesn't understand it right away, but something is missing. If he was someone in your life who barely scratched the surface of who you are, he may not even recognize this change at first. He's so used to feeling unaffected, thinking you were just another brief chapter, someone he could easily replace. But in those quiet moments when the noise fades, he notices a faint emptiness where your presence used to be. Maybe it's the way you'd send that little good morning message, or how you'd remember details he barely noticed himself. These were the things he took for granted, and now they're just gone. For the one who was with you longer, the realization digs a bit deeper. He thought he knew you well, thought he could read you. He'd gotten used to you being there, whether he deserved it or not. But now, the space you once filled feels strangely hollow. He checks his phone, half expecting to see a message from you, only to be met with silence. It's almost instinctive, this urge to look for you. But with each quiet moment, he's starting to grasp the change your absence has created. On your side, this part of the journey can be hard to feel. You may be wondering if he's noticing at all, if this silence is even making an impact. It's tempting to think that he's just moving on without a second thought, that he's untouched while you're the one fighting through the urge to reach out. But here's the thing. The effect of your absence isn't something loud or obvious. It's quiet, sneaky, settling into his daily life like a shadow he can't quite shake. Imagine your presence like a steady rhythm he's gotten used to, a heartbeat in the background of his life. When it stops, there's no crash, no dramatic change. It's more like a faint disruption, an unfamiliar silence that grows louder the longer it goes on. Every small thing that once reminded him of you now stands out. Little moments he barely noticed before now feel like gaps he can't ignore. And for him, this change isn't something he can brush off, even though he tries. He may try filling the space with other people, other distractions. He might scroll through his contacts, looking for someone else to text, just to avoid acknowledging what's missing. He may try to tell himself that life is fine, that he's unaffected. But your silence is still there, like an invisible weight, reminding him of what's not. It's not loud, it's not obvious, but it's undeniable. If he was someone new, this quiet realization hits when he starts seeing that it's not so easy to replace you. Maybe he thought he could find someone else just as caring, just as attentive. But each person he meets falls short, unable to bring the same warmth, the same presence you did. It's like trying to replace a favorite song with something else. The tune might be similar, but it doesn't feel the same. In the back of his mind, he's starting to notice that what he let go wasn't just anyone. For the one who'd been distant, the silence settles even deeper. He once thought he could always have you, that you'd always be around no matter how he acted. But now he's realizing that maybe, just maybe, he was wrong. Each day that passes without a word from you makes him question his own assumptions, wonder if he overestimated his hold on you. It's a humbling realization, one that starts to chip away at his pride. And here's where the quiet realization of change becomes powerful. For you, this isn't just about him feeling your absence. It's about you finding strength in staying silent. It's about embracing the power of letting go, of giving him the space to feel what life is like without you in it. Each day you hold back from reaching out. You're reinforcing the message that you're not waiting around, that you're choosing yourself over someone who didn't see your worth. Remember, Queens, silence doesn't work overnight. It's like planting a seed that takes time to grow. But with each passing day, the absence you've created begins to reshape the landscape of his life, slowly replacing his certainty with doubt, his confidence with questions. And for you, this silence is a reminder that you're worth more than someone's convenience. You're not just someone who fills a gap. You're someone who deserves respect, appreciation, and presence. So, whenever this silence feels heavy, whenever you wonder if he's even noticing, hold on to your affirmation, "My silence is my power," because it is. Each moment of quiet is a message that your worth doesn't depend on his attention, that you're reclaiming the energy you once gave so freely. It's not easy, but it's powerful, and every day he's feeling it a little bit more. Step 3. The odd habit of checking in. As more days pass without a word from you, he starts to develop an odd habit he never expected: checking in on you. Even if he doesn't reach out directly, he finds himself scrolling through his phone, hovering over your name, hesitating. Maybe he opens your chat only to close it before typing anything, or perhaps he glances at your social media, curious to see if you've posted anything new. This quiet urge to check on you becomes his private routine, one that he doesn't quite understand. At first, he brushes it off, telling himself it's just a habit. But the truth is, this compulsion to check in is his way of filling the silence you've left behind. He's searching for any sign that you're still there, even if he's not ready to admit he misses you. Maybe he's hoping to see a story pop up, a post that gives him a hint of how you're doing, something to reassure him that you're still thinking about him. But your silence offers nothing. No updates, no clues, no comfort. It's a blank space that only feeds his curiosity. If he was someone new in your life, he might have thought that moving on would be easy, that he wouldn't look back. But now he's realizing it's not as simple as he imagined. In this silent gap, he finds himself wondering who you're spending your time with, if someone else has caught your attention. He checks to see if you're active online, hoping to satisfy the questions lingering in the back of his mind. It's subtle, this habit of checking in, but it's a sign that your absence is stirring something within him, something he thought he could ignore. For someone who was in your life longer, this habit of checking in is even stronger. He's used to knowing what's going on with you, used to the steady flow of messages and updates. Now, without that connection, he feels like a stranger in your life, on the outside looking in. He wants to see if you're still the same, still there, still someone he can count on in his own way. But each time he checks and finds nothing, it's like hitting a wall of silence that he can't break through. And it's unsettling for him. Meanwhile, for you, this stage is about resisting the urge to reach out, knowing that every bit of silence is making him more aware of what he's missing. You might feel the same urge to check his updates, to see what he's up to, but you're choosing to stay grounded. You're embracing the power of this quiet distance, knowing that while he's checking in, you're letting go. You're not the one searching for answers. He is. And every time he checks for you and finds nothing, he's being reminded that you're moving on, even if it's just one day at a time. He might try to tell himself that this checking habit doesn't mean anything, that it's just curiosity, just a habit. But deep down, he knows there's more to it. It's like scratching an itch he can't ignore. Every time he scrolls past your name or hovers over your profile, he's reminded that he's the one left with questions, the one wondering if he made a mistake. He's searching for something familiar in this silence, hoping to find comfort, but all he finds is emptiness, a reflection of the gap he created by letting you go. And here's the power in this stage, Queens. You're not the one left wondering. You're not waiting for his updates, checking in on his life, or hoping for a sign. You're choosing peace over the need for validation. You're standing firm in your silence, letting him feel the weight of his own actions while you reclaim the energy you once poured into him. So when this silence feels heavy, when you start to question if he even cares, remember this: my silence is my power. Every moment he spends checking in, wondering, questioning, is a reminder that you're no longer an open book he can read whenever he wants. You're no longer waiting on him to notice your worth. Instead, you're moving forward, leaving him to piece together the silence on his own. This checking-in habit may be subtle, but it's his first glimpse into the reality of what he's lost. Each silent moment is working its way under his skin, a quiet reminder of what he took for granted. And for you, this silence is a gift, a chance to see your own strength and to let him feel the emptiness he never expected. Step 4. The annoying feeling of discomfort. As more time passes, a new feeling starts creeping in for him: discomfort. It's not overwhelming, not something that demands his full attention, but it's there, nagging at him like a tiny pebble in his shoe. It's a quiet, annoying feeling that he can't quite shake, something unsettling that lurks in the background of his mind. This discomfort is his first real taste of what it means to be without you, and it's starting to scratch at the edges of his confidence. He might still be carrying on with his life, telling himself he's fine, but there's a difference now. The silence has gone from something peaceful to something that feels unsettling, even itchy. He doesn't fully understand why it bothers him. After all, he thought he didn't need you. He thought this space would be easy to fill. But now, every moment that passes without hearing from you feels like a reminder that things aren't as smooth as he imagined. It's like sitting in a quiet room, realizing there's a clock ticking louder and louder in the silence, and there's no way to turn it off. If he was someone new, he may have thought he could move on without a second thought. He expected to go back to his life and feel completely at ease, but now he's noticing that this strange low-level discomfort follows him wherever he goes. He can't brush it off like he used to. It's a reminder that he may have misjudged the impact you'd leave. It's a little flash of regret that he tries to ignore, but it lingers, growing slowly as time goes by. For someone who had been with you longer, the discomfort runs even deeper. He expected that his distance wouldn't change anything, that you'd still be there, willing to reconnect whenever he felt like it. But now he's starting to feel a different kind of weight, the subtle but growing realization that maybe he doesn't have the control he thought he did. Each day that passes without a word from you chips away at his confidence, leaving him with a nagging sense of insecurity that he can't quite explain. On your side, this stage of discomfort can feel empowering. You're finally seeing the cracks appear in the wall he built, and you're not the one scrambling to hold it together. This discomfort he's feeling is the first sign that he's realizing something important, that he can't just pick you up and put you down as he pleases. And for you, this silence is a victory, a testament to your strength and self-worth. You're showing him that you're not someone who waits around, hoping for scraps of his attention. So whenever you feel tempted to break the silence to ease his discomfort, remember, my silence is my power. If you haven't already, drop it in the comments as your commitment to reclaiming your strength. Because each time you choose silence, you're reinforcing the value he overlooked. This journey is about honoring yourself, showing him and reminding yourself that you're more than an option. You're a queen who chooses her worth over his comfort. Step 5. Looking for you in small moments. By now, the silence has settled into his life in a way he can't escape. It's in the little things, the small everyday moments that remind him of you. He doesn't admit it outright, but he's starting to see pieces of you everywhere. When he's out at his favorite coffee shop, he remembers how you'd always know his order without asking. He might hear a song that instantly takes him back to a shared memory, making him feel a twinge of something he can't ignore. These small, unexpected moments keep bringing you back to him, uninvited and unshakable. If he was someone new, he probably never expected you to leave this kind of mark on him. He thought he could move on quickly, that you wouldn't linger. But now he's realizing you brought something to his life that can't just disappear. These small reminders start to feel like echoes of what he let go, and he's haunted by the realization that no one else fills these spaces quite like you did. For someone who was with you longer, these moments dig even deeper. They're little reminders that he's lost the comfort, warmth, and understanding that you brought so effortlessly. He begins to feel the weight of those moments, realizing that they're not as easy to replace as he once thought. Every time he experiences something that reminds him of you, he feels that pang, a reminder of the connection he dismissed too easily. And for you, this stage of his journey is powerful. You're no longer reaching out or in his life with those small acts of kindness that he took for granted. You're allowing him to feel what life is truly like without you, and he's left looking for pieces of you in places you no longer are. Each small reminder is a testament to your impact, proof that your presence was unique and irreplaceable. So remember, Queens, my silence is my power. Each moment he spends looking for you is a step deeper into the reality of what he's lost, a truth he can't ignore. Let him search, because every small moment is showing him exactly what he's missing. Step 6. The frustration with new connections. At this point, he's starting to feel your absence in ways he didn't expect. In his frustration, he turns to others, hoping to find someone who can fill the space you once occupied. He may go out, meet new people, maybe even start seeing someone else, thinking he can distract himself and move on. But the reality? None of these new connections measure up. No one quite gets him the way you did, and he finds himself growing irritated, realizing that the easy comfort he felt with you isn't something he can just recreate. If he was someone new in your life, he thought he could move on quickly, believing there would be someone else out there just like you. But now he's realizing that it's not so simple. Each new person falls short in ways he can't explain. Whether it's the way they laugh or how they react to his stories, nothing feels as real or as genuine. He's finding out the hard way that the connection he had with you can't be duplicated, no matter how hard he tries to replace it. For someone who had been in your life longer, this frustration runs deeper. He thought you'd always be around, thought he could go out, meet new people, and still have you waiting in the background. But now he's faced with the reality that those shallow connections don't offer the depth, the loyalty, or the understanding you gave him. He realizes that he's surrounded by people who don't truly see him in the way you did, and that frustration starts building inch by inch. And here's where your silence becomes even more powerful. Each time he meets someone new, each shallow conversation, each failed attempt at connection is a reminder of what he's lost. While he's busy looking for you in other people, you're the one standing strong, moving forward, proving that you're not so easily replaced. So hold on to your affirmation, my silence is my power. Because with every forced smile and empty conversation, he's feeling the depth of what he let slip away. Let him feel that frustration, that emptiness. Your silence is the reminder that you're one of a kind, and he's the one left searching, unable to find you anywhere else. Step 7. The unavoidable regret. And now we've reached the moment he never saw coming, the unavoidable gut-wrenching regret. After days, weeks, maybe even months, he's finally hit rock bottom. The silence you gave him, the space you allowed, has grown into something he can no longer ignore. It's not just an empty room he can walk out of anymore. It's a weight pressing down on him, a suffocating reminder that he lost someone irreplaceable. In this silent, lonely realization, he knows he's the one who pushed you away, that he was careless with something precious. Now the memories start flooding in. He remembers your smile, the way you listened, the warmth you brought into his life. He recalls how you were always there, offering him support, laughter, and a steady presence. He thought he could do without it, but now he understands just how much he leaned on you, how much of his life was built around having you by his side. Even when he didn't show it, those little things he took for granted have become the very things he aches for, the things he wishes he could have back. The regret hits him like a tidal wave, sweeping away his pride and arrogance. And this regret, it's not just a passing feeling, it's a sinking realization, a quiet but fierce understanding that he messed up. He's haunted by thoughts of what could have been, replaying every decision he made that led to this silence. The reality sinks in that he didn't just lose someone. He lost you, the person who knew him better than anyone, the one who saw him at his worst and still chose to be there. He's realizing now that he didn't just lose a girlfriend or a partner. He lost a confidant, a friend, a woman who brought value and joy into his life like no one else. Finally, he does what he never thought he'd do. He reaches out. He sends that message, makes that call, hoping that somehow, after everything, you might still answer. He feels the sting of his own actions, the bitter taste of humility as he types out words he never thought he'd say. Maybe it's an apology, a late-night confession, or a simple, "I miss you." But in that moment, he knows he's risking his pride because his regret has become too heavy to carry alone. But here's the shift. Now you hold the power. You're no longer the one waiting, hoping he'll see your worth, because you've already seen it yourself. You're no longer the one at his mercy, the one bending over backward for scraps of his attention. Instead, you're the one who chose yourself, who embraced the strength of your silence and let him feel the emptiness he created. You've grown stronger, wiser, and more secure in your own worth. And now he's the one left scrambling, desperate to fix what he broke. Imagine him on the other end of that message or call, hoping for a response, fearing the silence he once thought he could live with. He's not just reaching out to fill the void. He's reaching out because he now knows he lost something he may never find again. That realization is eating away at him, reminding him that he didn't just lose a momentary connection. He lost a woman who stood by him, who gave him her heart, who cared deeply. And now he has to confront the reality that you might have moved on, that you might not be there to answer. For you, this is the moment to remember your strength. You don't have to answer out of pity, loneliness, or fear of what might happen if you don't. You've already reclaimed your power. Whether you choose to respond or not, the choice is now yours, and it's a choice rooted in self-respect, in knowing that you are worth more than half-hearted affection and fleeting apologies. So, Queens, when that message comes, when he reaches out, hoping for forgiveness, remember this: my silence is my power. Your strength isn't in how quickly you forgive or how easily you go back to the way things were. Your strength is in holding on to the self-worth you've rebuilt in his absence, in knowing that his regret is not your responsibility to ease. He's finally realizing what he lost, but that doesn't mean he's entitled to your presence again. If you choose to answer, do so from a place of strength, knowing you're in control of your life. If you choose to leave him in the silence he once dismissed, let that choice remind you of the journey you've taken. Either way, you've won, because his regret is his to carry, not yours to fix. You've done the hard work, held your ground, and proven that you're stronger than the heartbreak he left behind. So let him feel that regret. Let him sit in the emptiness of the choices he made. And remember, Queens, that your silence is your strength, your clarity, and your reminder that you don't need to chase anyone to feel whole. You are powerful beyond measure, and he's only now beginning to understand the depth of what he lost. Hold your head high because you're the one who rose above, the one who chose herself. If this resonates with you, drop a "keep it up" in the comments as your commitment to standing strong. Your silence is your power. Stay true to yourself, hold on to that strength, and let the world see the incredible, unshakable woman you've become. Keep it up, and let's keep moving forward together.